Some of you may not have realized that I'm not part of the club.
Has Puffy ever been in a coma? He must be the luckiest, because it seems like everybody that worked at Uptown Records from the very beginning is gone.
It don't make sense. How you wake up butt the F naked with two other men in the with Diddy and nothing happened.
Not Jennifer Lopez exposing Diddy for being the most toxic ex-boyfriend. And years after her breakup, Jen is sharing never-heard details about her time as Diddy's girlfriend. And let's just say she is very happy about her decision to walk away from Puffy. For those who don't know, Jen and Diddy were the it couple in the industry until they weren't.
I didn't like him at all. You know, I didn't. I thought he was like...
While people were confused as to why they ended their relationship after 2 years of going out, it seems like recent developments around Diddy's lawsuits are the missing puzzle. Ever since Cassie filed her bombshell lawsuit, countless people have come out of the woodwork with their own set of accusations against the business mogul, from essay accusations to potentially harming people who used to work for him. Diddy had been on the edge of his seat, especially now that the feds were on him.
Homeland Security, not LAPD, not NYPD, Homeland Security raided Diddy's house in LA and Miami, both the houses.
And I think most of you will agree that it's not nice to have the authorities telling him everywhere, especially if he has something he didn't want them to know. And now another big name in the industry is exposing him, and you will not believe who it is. It's none other than Ice Cube. Ice has been fearlessly exposing what he called as the infamous Hollywood elites. And while he never mentioned Diddy before, he is implying that things have changed and Puffy might be one of the people pulling the strings on top of the industry pyramid. On top of this, a music producer named Lil Rod is saying that J-Lo is somewhat involved in all this mess. Specifically, the music producer is bringing up the shooting incident the ex-couple got involved before, and Lil Rod is alleging the duo is hiding the truth about what happened during the night. Like what? So, is this why J-Lo is spilling the tea about Diddy and how badly he treats every woman who gets involved with him? Is she confirming Cassie's accusations are true? And if so, is she safe from this downfall? Let's find out. Long story short, Diddy is facing a huge mess, and at one point, there are people who think it's almost impossible to recover from this. From paying millions to endless lawsuits to literally stepping down from a company he built, Diddy did it all. However, insiders believe that Diddy doesn't have a choice, and unlike other times when he can just pay up and everything will be okay, the current situation is another level of crazy. Even Gene Deal, who used to work for Puffy, explained that no shareholder wanted to work with Puffy right now. And by the looks of it, he will have to deal with more bad news in the future.
Listen, he has to do that because no company wants to do business with somebody who is being accused, have allegations against them for misconduct and deviant behavior. All the shareholders, it ain't nothing that he's giving up. They like, yo, listen, give me that. They said, they did a Diddy. Take that. They're gonna take that from him.
And now, Ice Cube and J-Lo have entered the chat, with the former sending a warning to Jennifer Lopez, suggesting that it's time to run away from her ex-boyfriend. Okay, for those who don't know, Diddy and J-Lo were romantically involved before. Specifically, the duo was going way back to 1999 to 2001. And while they were supposed to be the it couple of the music industry back then, their love story didn't have a happy ending after they decided to call it quits after 2 years. And if you were following the news during that time, you'll know that their breakup was nasty. This was after J-Lo was very vocal about how Puffy was unfaithful to her, which is why she was left with no choice but to let go.
I, at that time, was cared very deeply for Sean, and you know, we just didn't have the same kind of ideals about life and family and stuff like that. And
while fans are starting to point fingers at Diddy, blaming him for the breakup and possibly treating J-Lo badly, the singer has cleared the air and revealed that the ex she was referring to before is not Diddy. Okay, but still, fans are skeptical, especially since Diddy doesn't have the best record when it comes to dealing with his girlfriends or just women in general. I mean, do I have to mention Cassie and her lawsuit? Or the other lawsuits that followed, which basically revealed what kind of person Diddy really is. The allegations Cassie made were pretty serious.
But this is the 19-year-old Cassie that could not speak for herself. And the 36-year-old is speaking up now? And that's okay.
When it first dropped, a lot of people thought it was the end for Diddy because Cassie accused him of SA, trafficking, and even forcefully making her have with different men. There was also another Jane Doe who added fuel to the fire with her own set of allegations, which are also closely related to the things Cassie initially accused Diddy of. By this time, Jane Doe added that Diddy filmed the entire thing and even showed the video to his friends, which left her very emotionally damaged. Despite all of these, Diddy insisted that he was innocent and made a statement about the allegations. And soon after, a settlement was agreed upon between Puff and Cassie. And to say everyone was shocked is an understatement. At this point, Diddy thought he could finally break free, but he jinxed it because it was only the start of another roller coaster of emotions after more people came out of the woods and with their own lawsuits in hand.
I just got done reading the latest lawsuit against Diddy, Rodney Jones versus Sean Combs' son, and a host of other people and companies so that you guys don't have to. First, let me say, wow. This complaint was equally as explosive as the Cassie Ventura lawsuit, except a major difference is this plaintiff and his attorney come with receipts from day one.
Actually, the number of cases filed against the business mogul is so high that I think it's pretty safe to assume that things are not looking pretty good for Diddy now. And dealing with the issue with J-Lo might be the least of his priorities after the feds raided his Miami home and made a whole fiasco about it. It had been the talk of the town for days, and people were even expecting Puff to finally be put behind bars. On top of the raid, TMZ also shared a video showing Diddy strolling back and forth in front of a customs office at Miami Opa-locka Executive Airport on Monday, March 25th. This sighting occurred not long after the raid, which is why fans were wondering if he was trying to flee after getting a heads up about the police marching their way to his house. According to accounts, Diddy and his crew were detained at Miami International Airport and may have been about to board a private plane when Homeland Security stepped in. And after the Department of Homeland Security made a thorough search of the house and allegedly found evidence that could indict Diddy for SA and other nasty stuff, specifically, investigators took Diddy's firearms and phones. However, it is unknown how many devices were taken. During the raids, command vehicles were stationed outside both residences with a large number of cops dressed in protective gear and carrying firearms. At one point, everything looked like a scene from a movie, but sadly, this is a reality Diddy had to face. While things are looking pretty grim for the rapper, his sons Justin and Christian King Combs were also seen being handcuffed during the raid. Just imagine what this made Diddy feel. I mean, getting raided by the feds is one thing, but getting your family involved with your mess is another. As soon as news broke about the raid, everyone started speculating what this meant for Diddy. Some are saying this is his end, while others are not having it, especially since Diddy has settled countless lawsuits and avoided jail too many times for this one to stick. However, people once again are getting curious about the truth behind his relationship with J-Lo, since if he was able to treat Cassie for years without getting busted, it's likely that other women who got involved with him experienced the same thing. Going into the details, Jennifer Lopez and Sean Diddy Combs were once one of Hollywood's most popular A-list couples.
They're always dressed to impress. MTV couldn't get enough of them. Remember TRL? Anywhere they went, paparazzi followed. This was a different time. Everyone wanted to know what they were going to wear. Puffy's white party, Loved Up, and everyone was like, OMG, they're so cute.
The couple began dating after meeting at the shooting of Jen's If You Had My Love music video in 1999. Diddy and his on-off lover, Kim Porter, ended their relationship earlier that year. While Kim and Diddy later got back together, they eventually parted ways in 2007 and realized they were better off without one another. J-Lo and Diddy split in 2001 after 2 years together, mainly because Diddy allegedly cheated. In an interview way back in 2013, J-Lo explained the reason behind the breakup, saying, "I never caught him, but I just knew it. He'd say he was going to a club for a couple of hours and then never came back that night," she recalled. "I had to think, do I want to be home with kids in 10 years wondering where somebody is at 3 in the morning? And honestly, her intuition was right. Because just imagine if she didn't call it quits with Diddy. She might have been in Cassie's shoes, right? Anyway though, they later became close following their breakup. J-Lo discussed previous traumatic relationships in her 2024 documentary, The Greatest Love Story Never Told. It's unclear whose ex she was talking to, but given Diddy's current incident, many feel she's referring to Puffy.
I was like, until I get the out of here, never look back. But for me, it was so clouded and complicated with so much of my past and my own pain and hurt and dysfunction that I couldn't see clearly. It was like looking through fog.
In the documentary, Jennifer clarified that she was never physically abused to the point where she needed medical attention, but the singer revealed that an ex used to manhandle her and treat her rather roughly and disrespectfully. Okay, I don't want to be that person, but putting 2 and 2 together, in Cassie's lawsuit, she mentioned how badly Diddy treated her and all the other horrible things he made her do. So while J-Lo didn't name the previous lover she was talking about, it seems like people who have been following the news believe that Puffy fits the description. Well, at least based on how he treats his girlfriends. And now, a previous statement J-Lo made is gaining traction, and fans are saying that this was one of J-Lo's attempts to expose Diddy. "I was once in this relationship with Puff where I was totally crying, crazy, and going nuts. It took my whole life in a tailspin." Cassie also mentioned that she feared Diddy, which is why she kept mum about the entire thing. So it's not impossible that J-Lo feels the same, right? But this is only the tip of the iceberg, because insiders are claiming that J-Lo is finally breaking her silence about the Diddy issue, and you won't believe what she said. J-Lo is horrified by all the accusations, an insider exclusively shares with In Touch. She and Diddy had talked about marriage at one point, but she left him for a reason. Now, people want to know why and what she saw. This is not the worst of it, because the insider said that just thinking about her relationship with J-Lo made her shudder. Okay, just how badly did Diddy treat her that even the idea of him terrifies her? Don't even get me started with Kim Porter, because at this point, the list of women who suffered at the hands of Diddy is getting longer. And ever since psychic Sloan Bella mentioned how Diddy might have taken Kim out of the picture after she revealed her plans to publish a tell-all book about Diddy, people on the internet have been dragging Diddy.
Somebody from outside that circle has one of, quote, the books or manuscripts or written documentation. So they don't have it all. And she's kind of laughing because she suspected that this would happen, but it blew her mind when it happened. He literally went dark, black eyes, dark, completely shut down and dark. So she didn't even know who she was dealing with. She was starting to see what he was for real and no more denying it.
Despite how unbothered Puff remained throughout the years, even sharing a tribute message to Kim in the middle of the lawsuit, it's almost impossible to make everyone believe he didn't have anything to do with Kim's passing. It didn't even help that Gene Deal vouched that he would be ready to testify in the case the authorities finally decided to look into Kim's death. He is not going to say very good things about his former boss.
Her book was about to come out, and she was talking about all the perils, everything that she went through in the music business and with Diddy.
And then we have the ever vocal Jaguar Wright. She had been going after Diddy's throat for quite some time now, and while a lot of people thought she was only bluffing when she made statements about Diddy's girlfriends and how bad he is treating them, things are finally making sense ever since the lawsuits were filed. Of course, Jaguar has other things to say about Puff that are also closely related to the allegations that have been floating around him.
You want to know what they all had in common, though? The survivors and the late of Uptown Records, they were all writing tell-all books.
Basically, she was saying that Diddy had been fishy ever since. Like, how can everyone who was hanging around him be either dead or dangerously hurt? It can't be just timing, right? Someone is definitely pulling the strings, and it's very likely that Diddy is the best person to do all this. Now we have this. If you think Diddy can breeze through this just like the other times, then think again, because another person just entered the picture. Rodney Lil Rod Jones might be the last nail in the coffin, and it'll be extremely hard for Diddy to escape this drama after Lil Rod mentioned J-Lo a couple of times in the lawsuit he filed against Diddy.
This P. Diddy lawsuit from Rodney Jones probably has Diddy screwed. Rodney Jones came with receipts for everything that he alleged that P. Diddy has done, and there is some crazy stuff that is mentioned in this document.
Since November, 5 lawsuits have been filed against the rapper turned mogul, but one bombshell lawsuit that will at least cripple Diddy's career came from a young guy who was brought into his inner circle and, according to the producer, left Diddy's side after being reportedly groomed, abused, and used. Lil Rod also says that Combs failed to pay him for his publishing shares and royalties. That's another reason why Diddy is not as good as he seems to be on this list. Here's how the story went. Based on the documents filed by Lil Rod, he was hired by Diddy in 2022 to work on his 2023 album, The Love Album, Off the Grid, which was Diddy's first studio album since 2006. Jones had transitioned from early gospel work to hip-hop production in Chicago, and he grew up playing music with his local church, sitting behind the drum kit at the age of 5. By 13, he was recording in studios in front of a piano and on the bass guitar, which became his specialty. By the age of 18, Jones had more than 30 albums. By the age of 20, he had begun to focus on R&B and hip-hop studio sessions. Soon enough, his resume included credits on songs by Jack Harlow, Mary J. Blige, and T-Pain. Jones's enthusiasm for music, production, and creativity shines and talks about his work. So to say that working with Diddy was a dream come true was an understatement. Sadly, it turned into a nightmare.
Offered little to no participation in this is highly disrespectful. I won't be that guy 20, 30 years from now looking back saying, I wish I'd done this. I'm going to do this now. Doing this situation is not easy. Taking Puff to court, suing him is not easy.
Jones' complaint alleges that he was eventually credited with producing 9 tracks on the album, the result of 14 months in the studio with Combs that ended in November 2023. The record had a long number of A-list guest stars, as one would anticipate from a major industry player's big return. Over the course of the year plus, he spent assisting in its creation. The artist and producer built an unusual connection. J. Jones not only lived and traveled with the rapper, but also became his cameraman on a daily basis, allowing him to enter one of the music industry's most prestigious circles. And it gets worse from here. Lil Rod filed this lawsuit in New York federal court on February 26, and he is seeking $30 million in reparations. Yes, $30 million. And aside from allegedly getting snubbed and taken advantage of by Diddy, he also made serious allegations saying that while working with Puff, he was essayed, allegedly forced by Combs to engage in sex acts, forced to solicit sex workers, drugged, humiliated, and repeatedly groped in his private areas. Lil Rod is not the only person who has horrible stories to tell about Diddy, because another member of his team also vouched that very disturbing things had been happening. And nope, they don't just create music when they are in the studio. For instance, former Bad Boy Records member Mark Curry shared his own experiences while working with Puff. This was after he slammed Puff for for returning artists publishing rights. While outsiders thought Diddy was doing them a favor by giving their rights back, Mark pointed out that Puff will never even think about doing this unless there has been a decrease in value. In a post, the rapper shared his frustration and wrote, "Diddy gave the publishing back. So what? It has no value. I want him to give me $1 million and then I can plan the rest of my life out well." Mark also expressed his desire to be paid for his contributions to Bad Boy, while revealing he had received his publishing rights back from Diddy a long time ago. He didn't stop there. Mark then saw Diddy's obviously insincere choice to return the publishing rights as a sign of disrespect. The artist proceeded to express his dissatisfaction in the post comments, implying that having ownership of his publication may have had a good influence on his life during times of financial instability.
That's disrespectful. I told her, why don't you just keep it and pay me? I don't want the publishing, I want the money. Come on, y'all think he doing a good thing because he give back some publishing? Come on, man. It's not worth anything.
If you think Mark only called out Diddy for being greedy, well, think again, because he also exposed him for being a terrible person to those who were working for him. And let's just say he witnessed some disturbing things during his time at Bad Boy Records. While these were bad enough, what's coming next will blow your mind. Lil Rod mentioned Diddy and J-Lo in reference to a 1999 club shooting. Though she and Diddy were both jailed at the time, the accusations against her were dropped, but Diddy was acquitted. However, Lil Rod alleges to him that he was the shooter and Jennifer was carrying the pistol. I bet you guys will say, this situation sounds familiar. Well, because Cassie experienced the same thing when she was with Diddy, and she mentioned this in the lawsuit that started the entire fiasco for Diddy. Because of this, fans were assuming J-Lo was the first Cassie and barely escaped the devil's hands when she decided to follow her gut feeling and walk away from Puffy when they were still together. Now, that's interesting, and since almost everyone who was close with Diddy is trying their hardest to disassociate from him to avoid taking the fall as well, maybe J-Lo is doing the same thing. Maybe she is afraid that she will be dragged down as a result of this mess and has decided to just expose Puffy before she gets exposed. And now is the best time for her to completely get away from Diddy, because ever since she was brought to this mess, she has received negativity one after another. I mean, amidst growing legal action against Diddy in recent months, J-Lo has made the decision to launch her passion project entitled This Is Me. However, she has faced tremendous criticism for the semi-autobiographical film and accompanying behind-the-scenes documentary. For instance, many have mocked her for continually citing her origins in the Bronx, New York, with one TikTok user even referring to it as New York cosplay.
Oh man, let me tell you one thing. You can't be from the Bronx with that. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I don't even respect. I'm still Jenny from the block anymore, because I don't know what block you was on where you think.
Coincident? I think no, because the same group of people also revealed that all the criticism J-Lo is receiving was well-timed to deflect from the Combs scandal. So it's no surprise if the singer took this as a signal to make it clear as day that she doesn't want anything to do with Diddy. If you think I'm tripping or overthinking, wait until you hear what Ice Cube has to say. A few years ago, Ice had been talking about a certain club in Hollywood.
Yo, what's cracking? You know what it is? It's your homeboy Ice Cube. And some of you may not have realized.
In fact, I'm sure you have heard about this news before, especially during the time when the so-called Hollywood elites, well, this club might include Diddy, J-Lo, and other people who are close to him, like Jay-Z and Beyonce maybe? Speaking of Jay-Z, he is another person who has been keeping it low-key since the news broke. And a lot of fans are confused as to why he is not saying anything when his BFF Puffy is getting torn into pieces. Most of you might say that he is dealing with enough BS with all the rumors going on about him and Queen Bee, but haven't you wondered how everything seemingly coincides with what's happening with Diddy? Are the lovebirds having trouble in paradise because they are desperately trying to cut all ties with Diddy before everything falls down?
Ever since P. Diddy was on the run, right? They're saying he's taking people down with him. They say he's taking down Jay-Z and Beyonce, bro.
I've been hearing a lot of stuff about them.
At least that's what most people think, because let's be honest, the silence from the Carters is deafening, very uncharacteristic and suspicious. But it seems like Jay has other plans in mind after speculations about his coordination with the authorities to catch Diddy red-handed shocked the internet. This might be one of the biggest betrayals in the industry, at least if that is true. However, all the circumstances point toward this possibility. Ever since the lawsuit broke, Jay-Z has never commented about it. He even canceled his annual Made in America festival. Fans believe that Jay is avoiding any unwanted media attention, and since Diddy is a regular at the event, it might be suspicious if he suddenly didn't invite him, right? And having to explain the reason why without stirring more drama is pretty hard, especially since everyone wanted answers. If not from Diddy, then the people who are close to him and Jay. With everything going, more controversy is deemed to arise, and with J-Lo and Ice Cube entering the mix, I think it's safe to say that the following days will become very eventful, especially if you are Diddy. However, the business mogul has insisted he was innocent, which left a lot of people frustrated since, by now, he is most likely already guilty in the court of public opinion. How about you? Do you think J-Lo is trying to run away from Diddy? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next video.